So I've had a couple clients in a row now that have reached out in regards to buying raw land and with the purpose of building. And that's a really neat transaction to be a part of. There's a lot of nuances, a lot of details, and it's just really cool to help people find what it is they're looking for and help them. It's a lot more of an an advanced level of a transaction, just because there's so much more to it than there is just buying a single family residence. But the reason for this video is the importance of having a professional feasibility. And there are third-party companies that we refer to often for clients to help them get professional feasibility help when considering buying a property. Typically, how it goes is you put down an offer, and your offer is subject to a feasibility period, and that period is a negotiated timeline. It could be anywhere between a couple of weeks to a couple of months. Sometimes big projects, it could be upwards of a year. But at the end of the day, the idea of the feasibility period is to really be able to dig in and get a sense of what it's really going to take to build. And I just recently had a client who did some feasibility and came back that it was going to be over $80,000 just to bring in the utilities alone. Another one recently where there was a bunch of sidewalk improvements that need to be made in order for them to build. And that's very common that you have to, if you're buying in a road where there is not sidewalks already, it's very common that you'll have to install sidewalks in order to develop property. So anyways, there can be a significant expense. And of course, that expense has a direct correlation as to the purchase price. So the more costly they are to develop, then of course typically there's downward pressure on sales price. So how it goes, you make an offer, you get to the end of your feasibility period, and then you go back to the seller, and if it's more than you expected, then you can renegotiate or you can back out and get your earnest money back. The key piece here is that if you have anything with any level of complexity, waterways, streams, creeks, waterfront, wetlands, challenging topography, hillsides, just all those things that can contribute, then very often it is money well spent to have a professional feasibility done, because you're going to spend a few bucks to have a professional help navigate you through this process with the county or city or whatever jurisdiction you're dealing with. But it will save you tons of time and also save you lots of money in the long run. Just recently, too, we had a client who spoke to a neighbor. After speaking to the neighbor was very candid with them. He said, "I wish I would have never bought this property. It's cost me way more to develop it than I ever expected." And he was 5.5 years into the project, and he was just at the build stage. And that's an extreme example, but it's a good one to just emphasize the importance of a professional feasibility. And I see that that's often overlooked, and then people get involved in pieces of property that are significantly more expensive than they expected. So, anyways, if you have any questions about that, we love doing land deals here. I love the process of land and helping our clients navigate that whole process alongside a professional feasibility company. And we've got some good ones that we work with regularly, and we can certainly help you make sure that you don't buy a lemon, so to speak, for a piece of land. So my number is 206-949-3793. Feel free to call or text, and happy to chat about your scenario and see what we can do to help.